Hello, welcome to the THC show. You know, THC, that powerful substance that is all the rage these days. Well, in this case, THC is for truth, hope, and change, which is very powerful as well and should be all the rage these days. We need some truth, we need some hope, and we certainly need some change. The topic we talk about, of course, is cannabis and access to cannabis, legalization, medical cannabis, and all of those types of things. Because there's been a war against this plant for a very long time. And that war was born in the United States. And the United States waged that war for a number of decades now and has resulted in huge carnage, no lack of cannabis available in the marketplace, no carnage from cannabis, mind you, but a lot of carnage from the actual prohibition of cannabis. So I see that last week in the USA, Senator Chuck Schumer said that it makes eminent sense to end the prohibition of cannabis. And the reason for doing that is freedom and justice. Yeah, you think? Freedom. Freedom is one of the most important things that we have in our world, or have in our lives, except we don't really have it. But it's one of the most important things that we need to have, and we seek it, and we try to get it, and we've been working towards it for a very long time, and we've come a long ways. But freedom, that means different things to different people. You know, what is the definition of freedom? Some people think that they deserve to have the freedom to be away from everybody else and away from everybody else's habits and things that they do. Freedom for them means freedom from other people being drug addicts, for example, or playing music, for many, many things. But seriously, what freedom really is, and I get this from a legal definition in Canada, but really it is what makes sense, is that freedom is the right to do or not do whatever you want to do or don't want to do, as long as you're not harming others. Simple as that. And without freedom, there's a lot of problems that arise, for sure. People will go to great lengths to prove that they're free. The drive for freedom starts early. It probably starts in that move out of the womb. There's probably some, 9 months later, the little baby inside the womb has had about enough of that and starts to kick its way out of there. But certainly you see it in toddlers where, the rebellious twos, or the terrible twos they call them, and what that's all about. Well, that's all about this little battle that happens between the new human and the original humans that brought them there about who's going to be able to do what and who's going to tell who to do what. And so, and then come the teenage years, right? Like terrible twos is one thing, but, if any of you have tried raising teenagers, and I have, I was a teenager. If you haven't raised a teenager, you probably were one. And you know what it's like. There's a huge drive to do that which you're not allowed to do, to be able to do what maybe the adults are doing, or, there's just a constant drive for freedom. And it's very, very important that we have that, and we don't have it, right? So it's a natural right, freedom. It's not something that we've been granted by the king or by the queen, although when the king and the queen are in control and in charge, then the only way you're going to get any type of freedom is to have that granted by them. But really, they're in violation of natural beings by taking people over and being in charge of them. They really have no right to do that. They have the might that allowed them to do that. They won the war, they won the fight, they have the weapons, they have the armies, they have whatever it takes. And through might, they get the right to be able to tell people what to do and what not to do. But it's not right. It's kidnapping. It's just absolutely a crime against each individual when some other person or group comes along and says, hey, you can't do that, or you got to do this way. And it's almost always corrupt too, by the way. I mean, the only time that works, and the way that it's designed to work, is in the situation of a family, in a parental situation, where when you arrive here as a new human being, you do have these big other human beings that are responsible for your living, telling you that you have to do stuff you don't want to do, and you can't do some of the stuff that you want. And the reason that works at all is because, generally speaking, those parents do have the best interests of that child in their minds. I mean, in many cases, they've been perverted and twisted by their own upbringings, by the society that they're living in, by their own trials and tribulations, their lack of understanding, and all of those things that happen to people when all of a sudden they have children to raise and they're not quite sure how to do it. And in many cases, they're damaged goods themselves, and they pass that along to their kids. And so all of that kind of stuff. But at least there's a chance, you know, there's a decent chance that those people that are now going to raise this new human being will do some of the right things for that human being, will care about some of the important things for that human being. Not governments. You know, governments won't do that. Your company won't do that for you. There's nobody else that's going to do that for you. This is a family thing. This is about you being a member of a family, and there's parents in charge, and they care about you, and they care about your future. And so for that period of time, they get to tell you that you can't do that, and you have to do this, and you might not like it, but that's the way that it is. And when you're not under this roof, then you can do what you want. But as long as you're under the roof of us, you're going to abide by the rules of the house. And that's the key there. Because once a person gets to that point where they're going to move out from under the roof of the caregivers and the parents, and they're going to be their own human being and live their own lives. And after that, it's nobody's business what they do unless they're harming somebody else. You're not allowed to harm other people. That's a responsibility that comes along with the natural right of being free and not having people tell you what you have to do and can't do. So you can't hurt anybody else. And if you do, it becomes everybody else's business. And there will be methods to try to stop that. And that's all good and fine. And that's just the way things work. But short of harming other people, my God, you've got the right to be yourself, to do what you want, do things differently, be weird, do whatever. But if you're not hurting anybody else, it's nobody's business but yours. And if we all had the freedom to do that, then we would all become the people that we are designed to be genetically. We're all, you know, seeds that turn into young life forms that then flower into the beautiful, mature life forms that they're meant to be. That's how the growth cycle works. And if people could just be free to be who they are, we would have, you know, many more creative, wonderful individuals, characters around us. Especially if the whole idea is to be who you want to be, do what you want to be, and do what you want to do, but don't harm anybody else. Let's help other people. Let's make the world a better place and not a worse place, and then things would be great. I'm a bit of a utopianist. I understand that. It's not the way the world works, but it's what I see as being the way that the world could work. And if it did work that way, well, then that would be so much better than what we've got going on right now. Because what we've got going on right now is that we've been kidnapped. We've literally been kidnapped by the financial elite. They impose the rules on us. It's not right, as I mentioned, and we've been fighting against it for a long time. We are multitudes and they are few, but they are smart and they are rich and they are well connected and they don't have the ethics that are required to be able to compassionately deal with the masses of people and all of us that have all of our issues and want to be who we are. And they don't have any of that stuff going on. These people that have kidnapped us, they just want us to work for them. They want to make money off of us, and they want to have some fun at our expense doing it. And so, you know, they've got their biases and the people that they don't like for whatever reason, be it color, be it other things, and those people are treated much worse than the others. And this is all a big game that's being played by the financial elite, and we're the pawns in this game. And we're not free when we arrive here, and we're not free when we leave the parents' house. We're simply not free. We're free to obey whatever the rules of the day are, and we're free to get punished and penalized if we're caught disobeying. So the fight for freedom is what this is all about. This is why we do what we do. As an activist, that's my driving force. It wasn't about smoking weed. I came to it through that avenue, through that way. I've been a lover of freedom my whole life. I couldn't wait to get out of my parents' home. I found out once I got out of my parents' home that, nope, sorry, not free, just a kid in somebody else's kindergarten. They make the rules, you better follow them. And one of those rules was about smoking weed. I'd grown up in Surrey, British Columbia, where and started out in East Vancouver before that, where I learned how to smoke cigarettes starting at 10 years of age, and then moved out to Surrey, where I learned how to drink pretty early, and got into all the different types of drugs, although I never put needles in my arms, and I never got into any type of a regular relationship with the opiates. Well, that's not true. I mean, as a young person growing up, I didn't, but later on, I did have an issue with Percodans and Percocets, and using those, you know, whatever. So the point is that the lack of freedom in our world is where the serious problems start. And if we could have actual public servants, and if people could be recognized as individuals with you know, individual adults, let's say, you know, after you've moved out of your parents' realm, at that point you become into the realm of the public servants. In this case, public servants. That's something we've worked hard for over the years and decades and hundreds of years that we've been fighting to have public servants instead of kings and queens and dictators and tyrants and all those other people who've, you know, put themselves in charge of masses of people and then exploited those people and dictated to those people different rules and restrictions that resulted in so many people's lives being ruined simply because of government policy. And for me, like I said, I came to it through cannabis. That one of the big things when I moved out of my parents' place, and cannabis being one of the substances that was really working well for me as I made my journey through life, and that got me in trouble pretty early. It became a thing, you know, obviously, you know, in the workplace it was difficult to, you know, you had to hide your marijuana use from the families, you had to hide your marijuana use from society, and certainly if there was ever a policeman anywhere around you, you could stand there and smoke commercial tobacco, you know, kills 8 million people a year, that's all good, but, you know, be smoking cannabis and while you're in trouble. So, I mean, that was my life growing up, and becoming a member of society and getting married and having a family and being in the workplace, was that I had to hide my cannabis use, and I got in trouble for it a number of different times, and I got arrested and I had to go to court and other things. And so all that led me eventually to, when my son started smoking weed, to fear for his liberty and his future, and that caused me to go and get involved with the cannabis rallies that were going on, the 420 rallies, the Cannabis Day rallies. It's about 25 years ago going on now, a long time ago. And but really, at the root of it all was always freedom. This was always about my ability to live my life and do what I wanted to do. I'm a good person. I pride myself on that. I always wanted to be a good person. I always try to be a good person. I think most of us do. And yet, you know, the one thing that I wanted to do regularly was smoke cannabis because it really helped me in a lot of ways. I liked it, and I wanted to do that. And here I am. I'm a free adult human being, supposedly, and I want to do something, and I'm not hurting anybody else, but yet I'm going to be treated like a criminal for doing that. And in fact, it did come close to causing serious issues in my life. As I said, I was arrested a few times. It then became serious when I quit my job to try to help fight for the legalization of cannabis as a vehicle to get to freedom, because you know, for the last 20-some years, this is what I've been doing with my life. I mean, this has become my life, and I got to take this call. I don't normally do that on a show, but it's my mom, and if my mom's calling me, I need to take the phone call. So just for a minute, I'm going to say hi to my mom. Hi, Mom.
Hi.
How are you?
Huh?
You're just checking up?
Yep.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, how are you doing?
I'm doing just fine. How are you doing?
Well, I'm getting older.
Well, that's a good thing, I hear.
I don't know. I feel very old today.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
So you called me during my show. You know, I have a weekly show on Pot TV. So,
Okay, I'll let you know.
well, you're now on air with me, because I had to answer it. You know, if you're calling me, I need to answer it, make sure you're okay and everything. So you know, I'm sure all the people out watching in TV land there,
We're all going hi.
you know, they're all saying hi, Mom.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, hello everybody. Goodbye.
Oh, that's good. All right, Mom. We'll see you next Monday. Thank you for calling and checking up on me. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Next week we need Andy Barb to call in.
Andy Barbie. I'd love Andy Barbie to call in. That'd be awesome. My mom sounded pretty good there, and she rarely calls me. My number is on her wall in great big numbers, along with my two brothers. She's really losing her memory really, really badly. She won't remember a few minutes from now that she made that call to me. But moment by moment, she's doing all right. She's got a really good disposition. She lives in assisted care. She's being looked after pretty carefully now. They're considering whether she should go into full care or not. They're concerned she might wander away, as some people do. I don't think she will, but I saw her yesterday. I see her every Monday. I'm so blessed to be able to do that. My son and I get to go out and see her. And at the end of the day, I said, okay, we'll see you next week, Mom. And she said, oh, I don't know if I'll be here. And she says that most of the time when I'm there, that she doesn't really know where she is, and she doesn't think she's supposed to be there. She asks about the house that we sold many years ago and things. So it's sad to watch my mom deteriorate like that. But at least she's got a good disposition, and it's great to have her call me once in a while just to check up on me and see how I'm doing. So that's really, really good. And I hope that isn't too much of a distraction from what we're talking about. What we're talking about is freedom. And it's one of the most important things in life. It's as important as air and water and food and love. It is really a driver of human behavior, and it's the lack of freedom that has resulted in the terrible situation we have with people misusing drugs. It's the lack of respect for individual human beings and freedom that has resulted in the corporate elite being able to access through our politicians and make rules and restrictions that benefit them and cost us and hurt us. It's 4:19. In 1 minute, we're going to partake of the sacred herb. I don't know where you are. Maybe where you are, it's illegal to partake in the sacred herb, and that's a real shame. For us here in Canada now, we at least have achieved the ability for people to possess and consume cannabis. It's supposed to be either bought from government stores or produced by yourself, but at least people do have the right to possess and consume cannabis. We've got a long ways to go. We're going to talk about a lot of that on the show today. Legalization is not what we wanted here in Canada yet, but it's a step. I hope it's a step forward. It won't be if we accept it and if it becomes the model and the whole world, you know, jurisdictions all around the world do similar things where they control tightly the cannabis that's produced and sold and maintain an artificially high price and restrict access to poor people, disenfranchised people, daily users, and all of that. That's what we've got going on in Canada here right now. That's what we're still fighting to get rid of. And every day at 4:20, it's the traditional time to spark some cannabis. So if you have it, light it and join us in a little puff. And joining me on the show, as always, is Glenn Wells, 8 out of 10 Glenn from CannaMatch.ca. How you doing, sir?
I'm in the jungle.
And you have some exciting news
yeah, I do.
This time.
Yeah. You want to do the Cannabis Center first? Because I can show a lot of stuff on the app that a lot of people don't know about CannaMatch.
All right.
So our friends at Cannabis.
You know what I didn't do was take that number that you were going to give me.
The code. All right.
So yeah.
Yeah. Here it is today.
So Canada's Cannabis Center. It's a good place to access cannabis. All right.
All right.
I'm going to show you this, and then you can use it. It'll help you. I recommend that you read the fine print carefully, because that's important. You know, good deals are to be had, but
and this is their gift to us. Did you have the rest? Oh, sorry. There's the rest. Oh, now I have to do it myself. Yeah.
That's a long number.
It is, isn't it?
It is.
It is. Thank God I've got it in the comments.
So I'm going to show you that, and then you can use that, and it should help you.
Yes. Now,
it will help you. Well, it should help.
Let's explain. Jump on this. Last week, everybody thought that everybody else had jumped on it, and nobody really had.
So do it. Do it just to see.
When we put this link up, do it. All right? Yeah. And you'll end up with free shipping. So, are you ready?
Are you ready?
All right. Okay, 3, 2, 1. There it is.
Here's the number.
There's the link. There's the code. No, you can't say it in the title. Okay. We can say it in the comments.
Okay.
Yes. I already asked.
I'm always trying to do the right thing, you know?
Yeah.
Aren't we all?
So click that link. Use that code right now. The first person that does it gets the free shipping.
And just because you think it might not have happened yet,
go try.
Go try.
Really, go try. It took 3 days for somebody actually, well, maybe I'll give it a try. And somebody actually did win last week. So that was really nice that they actually won.
Well, that's good.
Yes. Pothead Juice is how he's waving. All right, yes. So now I have a CannaMatch app.
I know. That's the exciting news I was talking about.
Yes, I know, eh?
So that makes it a lot easier for people, right?
Oh, yeah. And we're doing the Apple one this week, so I've already paid for it, and they've already got me to set up an account and everything. So
what this is CannaMatch.ca.
Yeah.
This is a way to get together with other like-minded people to source the herb, to to find someone you might date eventually. That's an option as well.
Yep.
Meet, tote, date.
That's
you don't
it.
have to do all three, but you can if you like, and if
Yeah.
it works out.
Well, we'll do the meeting first, we'll talk in, and we'll see what happens after, right?
Maybe. You never know. It doesn't have to have that kind of pressure on
No.
it. It can just be a way to meet people. If you're going into a new town or something like that, it's a good way to hook up with people that have the same similar interests as you.
We have over 4,600 registrations now, and I think just about 100 people, less than that, that have actually signed up. So
Nice.
we've been adding about 100 since last week now. So
there's
it's
100 potential people that you could get along with that are there available to
There's
be.
3,600 and something potential people on the site.
100 new ones every day.
Yeah.
100 new ones every day.
Well, I know 100 in the last week, because we haven't.
Oh, in
really
the last
posted.
week.
Yes. Okay.
Got to get the numbers right,
Yeah. So here's the app. Can I show this on the camera? Right? Can you see that? All right. So we're gonna tap the app, and we're gonna get rid of the show because we don't need to see the show right now. All right. Hold on a minute. Let's just do it this way. All right. So there's the app. Now you can see all the people in there. Now, there's not just dating on here. There's games in here. There's the 3D City. You can play tic-tac-toe on here. You can play Connect 4 with the person that you've met on the site. We've got reversing. We got space racing. We've got racing. We've got Rubik's Cube. And you just go in there. We got a 3D labyrinth, a sea battle, Connect 4, tic-tac-toe. We got 3D chess. We got ice cave racing, giant checkers, and the space labyrinth. There you go, all on there. So you meet somebody, and you can go and play a game where you can go into the 3D city and chit-chat with them. It's sort of like safe for COVID, kind of.
So is it cost-effective?
Oh, yeah. It's really cheap. It costs you 5 credits to send a message to somebody, and I give you 50 for signing up. And I've already announced that we're giving 420 to all the new members. So you can do a lot of stuff. You can make yourself superpowers, put your face up in the top here.
Certainly enough to check it out.
Yeah, so at the top here, this is the where you can go superpowers and have your face up there in the top section.
Careful
so people
with that.
see you all the time,
I don't know if
right?
you should put that on. Maybe.
Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't show their names or whatever. It's just their profiles. So then you tap the person that you
A whole
like.
bunch of people, anyway.
Yeah, you tap the person that you like, and there you go. And then you just click meet, and then that shows the person that they would like to meet you, and then they can come back at you.
It's okay that we.
Yeah, well, it doesn't have their name.
Well, I know.
Yeah. But, you gotta
Like I said, I'm always trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always trying to do the right thing, and I spend most of my life doing what the government says is the wrong thing. How about that?
That's just life.
Not life. I try to do the right thing for myself,
Yeah.
first and foremost. I answer to me first. And what me demands is that I do the right thing for everybody else as often as I can as well. And so that's led me to smoking weed, because that was the right thing to do for myself. Even though it was a crime to do that, I had to weigh that out. Everybody does as a human being. It's a risk. You could get arrested. It's against the law. The government says it's bad. The doctors are saying it's bad. The media is saying it's bad. But you got to be a critical thinker in this world. That's the number one key to life is how you analyze and process things.
Yeah.
You've got to be a critical thinker about these things. And as a critical thinker, it wasn't hard to understand that the doctors are lying. The government is corrupt.
Let's say the doctors were misinformed and never told.
Maybe.
Okay, we can't say that they were lying. They were following the general rule of the government, saying that this stuff was bad, so they had to believe the government.
I believe in giving everybody the benefit of the doubt.
Yes, because my doctor was the same way, but I've changed him, and he's from South Africa.
The doctors were being lied to.
Yes.
The medical profession was lying to us for sure. I'm sure the medical profession, that group, really did understand the benefits of cannabis, and much more importantly, the safety of cannabis. I watched a TED Talk the other day.
Yeah.
This woman researcher, and about the endocannabinoid system. By the time right off the bat, she made a statement that I thought, that's not quite right. She said that the endocannabinoid system is not there because of cannabis. She said that. And who knows?
Who knows? Right. Right.
But I suspect that we developed an interior cannabis system because of the ingestion of the exogenous
Well, we know the
cannabinoids.
Egyptians were using cannabis
The fact that us and all the vertebrates have an interior cannabinoid system tells me pretty clearly that they were ingesting cannabinoids.
Yeah.
The body does make cannabinoids.
The body does make.
It does make.
That's what I'm saying.
With certain foods
And the
like
body
chocolate.
and the body is made out of plants.
Yeah.
We're made out of plants. We either eat plants or we eat animals that ate plants, and that's why herbs heal us. That's why pharmaceutical medicines are synthesized versions of what we find in nature. Because, you know, what we need to heal us is all found in nature.
Yeah.
Cannabis happens to be the real powerful one because it really mimics that endocannabinoid system.
But the higher power said, we've given you all the plants that you need. That's one of the plants, right? Whatever that higher power was, that plant was put for our bodies because we have that system.
Well,
so
if you buy into the Christian religion,
I'm just saying
on the
power.
first page of the Bible, in
go
Genesis chapter 1,
Yeah.
on the very first page, the creation of the seed-bearing herbs, and the creator of those seeds says, in a translated version, into the King James version.
Translated so many times.
Well, and in this case from the King, this is from the King James version.
Yeah.
Translated from I'm not sure what at that time, but originally from the Aramaic, which it was written in. And it said that the Creator looked upon the creation of the seed-bearing herbs and said that they are very good.
Yeah.
Said they're all very good, and they are for everyone.
Yeah.
That's the two statements that, you know, right there you go,
Yeah.
well, you know, here we got the government saying this one's bad,
Yeah.
and they're not for you, you know. So, yeah.
So what else is it? You got to go to the Google Play Store and just type in CannaMatch, and that's where the app is. You don't have to do it online anymore. Just hit the Google Play Store, and probably by the end of the week, you'll be able to go into the Apple Store and do the same thing.
Very important tool if you're looking to source cannabis.
I'm trying to make the word, like, I always end my videos, go out and do something nice for someone today, they'll do something nice for someone else. I'm spreading love right through this app. I'm doing something nice every day for somebody by having an app that will allow people to meet each other and maybe become friends or start dating or just hang around and get stoned together. That's the whole thing.
That's almost as good as providing weed for people.
I know.
True.
Just download CannaMatch. Check it out. It's free.
Was it you and I that were talking earlier about how, you know, what it must be like to be someone who makes pharmaceutical drugs? And I guess it was John Murray. You know, where your drugs are killing so many people. When much of what your work has done has resulted in the over and misuse of opioids and the addiction problems and the overdose problems. But I'm thinking they don't look at it that way anyway. They would look at it as, you know, we provide all these life-saving drugs and we're helping people every day. I'm sure they feel that way as well. But yeah, it's a really good thing to be able to spread love, to provide a vehicle for people to help you know, other
I just
people.
put the link to the app right there, right in the comments. So
I'll bet you
they don't have to
that
search
through
it.
your CannaMatch,
Yeah.
there's somebody that's going to know about our program.
Yeah.
They're going to connect with somebody else who's going to have, you know, some surplus from their harvest or something like that, and we're going to get a donation at the CSP because of a connection made through CannaMatch. I'll bet you that happens.
Just share that link in your area. If you're on CannaMatch and you don't see anybody in your area, share it. Then people know they can go on the site and join it. Then you'll increase your search in your area. Because I'm in British Columbia. I can only do so much. It's in the World Wide Web, but we need people out there to share that link so that it'll increase their searches in your area.
I can see so much good that can come.
So do I. I'm trying.
Networking people, putting people together,
3 years
you know, be it for a date or not. There's a lot of good business that can happen. There's a lot of good activism that can happen. I can see nothing but good. Well, not nothing but good, but I can see a lot of good coming from that.
It's going to come good. I just want, like I said, 3 years as a website. Now we're doing the app thing. Next will be the commercial or an online commercial, an online ad or something like that. So
nice.
Bit by bit.
Look forward to sharing all that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing it. And yeah, it feels good to be letting people meet each other and become friends and promote, you know, humanism.
It's a wonderful thing.
It is.
Wonderful thing. Thanks for doing that.
No problem. I never
Thanks for
thought I
doing that.
would.
helping me share the herb.
Yes.
That's what you're doing, and all of us get access to the herb. That's a wonderful thing.
Oh, it's helped me so much.
People want to get access to the herb. I was watching Stephen Colbert there, and he mentioned Chuck Schumer's comments, and you should have heard the studio audience reaction to the idea that maybe they would end the federal prohibition on cannabis. You know, it would be such a popular thing to do.
Yeah, because then I would be able to cross into the border. I would
You would think.
Yeah, you would think so, because now it doesn't equate
Eventually that
as
should
a
all go
law
away.
that they have there, right? It's not illegal here anymore, so it wouldn't equate out towards a law there, and a lot of people would be able to go to the States again, you know, because of
Like I said, prohibition of weed was born in the United States. It needs to die there. Maybe if it dies there, it can die everywhere else as well.
You did say that today.
I did say that today. So, you know, in the state of Illinois, they were forced by the voters to allow for access to cannabis for adult use there.
Yeah.
And so they held a state lottery to decide who would get the few hundred dispensaries that were there.
Yeah, how many was it, like 300, 200?
Yeah, I don't know the exact number, so I don't want to say.
Yeah, just 100.
But there was a set amount of how many of these they were going to give out. There was no limit on how many people could apply or how many times you could apply. There was a $5,000 application fee, non-refundable. They brought in $10 million.
Wow, eh?
How about that, eh?
Yeah.
So there's money in it for these states to decide to legalize and license different stores. I mean, that can be a good thing. Maybe
I know
they're
you
going to
don't
use
like
that
the
money for good
taxation,
things.
but the same thing could have happened here in Canada. They could have just taxed
Well, and
and done some programs to help
well,
people.
no, there's a non-refundable license fee here in British Columbia for a license, federally as well, I think. That's a common thing. In Iowa, they've just done the same thing. It's only $60 for the application fee.
Wow.
It doesn't cost more than about $5,000 to process the applications. It's all done digitally. It's not a difficult thing, you know.
Yeah.
You could pay somebody $5,000 to set it up online so people could apply, send in their money, and that's that for that. And like I say, $10 million for government, maybe that's not a bad thing. It depends what they do with it. You know, as we know, they don't do all good things with our money all the time. But government needs money. But still, it's just, you know, it's the whole idea of
how they made people think for $5,000 you might just get a license.
We might just get a license.
Yeah.
I mean, it is corrupt, absolutely. To charge $5,000 for that, that's corrupt.
The
you know, if they stated up front, you know, we're planning on, here's our goal, we want $10 million, we're going to put that into schools for children with disabilities, or we're going to, you know, put that towards fighting for the rights of disabled people, or, you know, something of serious value, and then you knew that ahead of time. But even without knowing that, people want a license to have a marijuana store. Yeah. And a lot of people are going to apply. So,
it's like a gold rush.
It's like a gold rush.
It's like a gold rush, yes. Right?
It would be.
It's not as much as gold, but it's pretty much, well, it's pretty good. It's pretty expensive nowadays, yeah.
It's expensive. Yeah, I guess a gram of gold is worth more than $18.
Well, right now, right now, ounces are about $50 an ounce, $800 a pound right now.
For weed.
For weed, yeah.
So, not at the government stores.
No, so but an ounce
you can't
of gold.
talk about the black market.
An ounce of gold is what, $1,400 now? Something like that. Yeah. So I'm just comparing the prices.
So it's more like a shatter than something
like
that, you know, real high-end extract or something. Weed is worth money, folks.
Yeah, but not as much as gold.
way more than broccoli.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Way more than
peas.
Carrots.
Or kale.
Carrots. I heard the kale used to be
$2,200 an ounce.
Right now?
Is what gold is going for.
$2,200 an ounce.
Wow.
And that's crazy.
And we're selling weed for $50 an ounce.
What would you rather have? I mean, other than the fact that you could now resell it and get your money back. But if you couldn't get money back for it, what would you rather have? You're sitting in your backyard, you're sitting out on your boat, you're out hiking, you're going to the... What would you rather have?
Well, I would rather have
an ounce chunk of gold.
No.
Or a bag or an ounce of weed.
Well, because see, the ounce of weed would be good because it wouldn't make you feel so bad about just looking at a stupid piece of gold, right? You can get so wasted that you don't care, right?
I think for me, the weed makes me look at that chunk of gold and think, wow, people are paying that much money for that. Because what's the value? And now there is value in gold. It's good for electronics. If you know how to make high-end electronics, gold is a good thing to have and it's necessary. It sparkles and it's shiny. It's good for some other things, I guess, but you can't eat it. It won't keep you warm at night. It won't love you.
There's a story about some ancient aliens who came here and took most of our gold because it helped their atmosphere, and then apparently they might come back or something. I was watching Ancient Aliens on History Channel.
That's why gold is rare here?
Yeah, well, yeah. They say that the amount of gold that we have mined in all the time would only be about 30 feet high and about the size of a tennis court. So, but
I heard an Olympic
they're also,
swimming pool or something like that.
They also don't even know if there's a lot of gold in Fort Knox because they're never allowed anybody to see except for one room, and that was in the 1960s. And they don't even know that there's actually all this gold in Fort Knox.
Maybe
They just making people think that they're a powerful country. They got this place that's full of gold, but you can't get in to find out if it's really there.
I guess that's true, eh?
Yeah, you can't find out whether.
How would you verify that?
I was watching that show about gold.
Maybe they ate it all.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Whatever, you don't know.
Anyway, life is very, very strange.
Oh, so many stories, so many conspiracies.
It's crazy, you know.
I only deal with the stuff that's in front of me. No.
And me too. I try. My big thing is freedom. That's what I fight for. That's what it's all about.
And we're gonna have
cannabis is the most obvious example of not being free, so that's why I fight for that. And it's so ludicrous, and it's so crazy, and it's so expensive and dangerous and costly. The whole attempt to prohibit cannabis. It's got to be the biggest thing, you know, that I could find that I cared about that would help me further my interests in having the next generation be more free than I've managed to be. And the whole prohibition of cannabis, like I say, is so insane. And we roll this around every week. We provide cannabis to people here, as you know, on the downtown east side. We've been doing that for a long time through our program, the Cannabis Substitution Program. And one of the things that we're really providing for people is a decent sleep. That
I get that decent sleep.
And it's not just, you know, smoking either indica or cannabis or sativa, where you may or may not get a good sleep if you're smoking a sativa, or if your brain is wired different, it may keep you up and keep you active. We're talking about edibles.
Yeah.
We're talking about edibles that absolutely will put you to sleep.
Yeah.
You know, hello, Cato. What's going on?
He was upset that my case was in front of there, and he couldn't get up.
Oh, he couldn't get up there.
Yeah. See.
I don't know if you guys can see Cato, but
Get some attitude there.
He's here. He's a crazy ninja cat. So we provide high-dose edibles for people here on the downtown east side. That's what we've been doing for about 4.5 years. And one of the things that helps people with mostly is sleep. And that is such a profoundly important thing.
It is.
Without sleep, I mean, the people that don't even get proper 8 hours sleep a night die considerably younger than people that do.
Yeah.
But it's way more than that. I mean, if you go a few days without sleep, I mean, a whole bunch of bad things are happening in your body. Your brain is certainly not functioning properly.
No.
You can get to the point of hallucinations and psychotic behavior and all sorts of things. Sleep is so important. And here on the downtown east side, there's just so much that keeps people from being able to sleep properly. Their pain, the constant sirens, people waking you up if you're sleeping on the street because they think you might be dead.
Yeah.
But, you know... But it's really difficult to get proper sleep, and that's one of the things that we provide here. And yet we
can't... With edibles.
With the edibles.
Okay.
With the edibles.
Yeah, with the edibles.
Yeah.
I know that too, because I can go to sleep at 10 o'clock at night and wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's been a total darkness sleep, and I know that I slept all night, but if I don't take my edibles, I can wake up at 1 o'clock, and then at 3 o'clock, and then I'm awake at 6, and I know I've had an interrupted sleep, so... It does really make a difference. Sleep issues are so prominent in our society. It's incredible just how many people don't get a good night's sleep and are trying to get a good night's sleep. And there's so many different ways to try to do that, most of them pharmaceutical, but many other ways as well. But with high-dose edibles, you know, it works. Yeah.
It works. Whatever is the right dose, you need to find your right dose. I want to caution people right away that are hearing that and thinking that they should just go out and get some high-dose edibles taken and they'll go to sleep. You have to start low, you have to go slow, you have to get to understand the effects. You have to get to understand the effects on you personally, because what one person says is a high dose for them may not be for you, or the reverse of that. And even if you are an all-day smoker and you're just trying edibles for the first time, that rule still applies to you because it's a different high. You might think that, oh, well, I can smoke a quarter ounce of weed in a day and I don't need to worry about that. But you know what? Till you do that edible, you won't know. Your tolerance for edibles is unrelated to your tolerance for smoking weed. It is different, yes. And that's the biggest problem that we have, is where people start out by eating too much. They have a bad experience. It's not good at all. And they don't want to do it anymore. No. And really, for most people that have issues that they're trying to solve, cannabis is a way to solve it. And for those people that have serious debilitating pain and other things like that, sleep issues, cannabis high-dose edibles is what works really, really well. But you need to find the right dose for you as an individual. That's what's important. And if you do take too much, it will be an uncomfortable experience, and you don't have. That's not the regular experience for cannabis edibles. If you take a smaller dose,
if you do it right, you'll have fun, and you'll get a good night's sleep afterwards, and you'll wake up in the morning feeling, I'm gonna do that again tomorrow. And you're talking about freedom. We got some freedom coming up. We're going to protest, August the 2nd?
August the 2nd, BC Bud Day.
There we go. Open market again.
Yeah, we're going to have it back at Sunset Beach here in Vancouver.
Exercise our right.
We're looking for sponsors, or they are looking for sponsors. The 420 Farmers Market, I'm not sure how we would get how do we contact them? If you want to be a sponsor, contact me.
Do you know how much the sponsorships are
I don't. I don't. And this group has been putting on events for a long time without sponsorship.
Okay.
But now they're stepping in.
If it's like a couple $100, I could probably do that for CannaMatch.
There you go. There you go.
Get CannaMatch in there or something. I don't know. We'll see. I got to go see if I can find my banner because we just moved. But I'm sure I should find it somewhere. But we could maybe. I don't know. Just find it. If it's thousands of dollars, I could not do that. But I might be able to do a couple $100 or something. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be
I want to
absolutely.
get that app information out there. Now that it's so easy just to do it on an app, I really hope that CannaMatch site really grows.
So here it is, BC Bud Day.
Yeah.
So you open it.
Yeah.
I don't think that worked.
Okay, why don't you send me that link? Can you send me that link, and I'll use my phone. So no, this one here.
I'm gonna go to this link here.
All right, there you go. All right, so I might be able to find it in here and do a link.
But does it say who to contact? Canna Garden. It's an event by Canna Garden.
Okay, I found it. Okay, I'm gonna copy.
I got this too. I just don't see. There already is some sponsors. They're on the poster. We're one of them.
Posted by Medicaid, Power to the Patients, Girls of Green. Are those sponsors already?
No. That must be another year. Are you sure that's this year? No. That's this year.
That's this year. That's this year.
Wow. At Thornton Park.
Whoa, they haven't changed it.
Whoa.
Oh, they haven't changed it.
Whoa. Okay, so, wow. There might be two events.
Oh.
There might be two events.
Oh.
That's interesting. Medicaid are the founders of the event.
Oh. So they could be doing the same thing.
Let's see. Wow. Well, that's very, very interesting.
Yes. It's good
that's
we
very,
looked that
very
up.
Interesting.
So what does yours say?
That's going to put me in an interesting place. Mine says Sunset Beach.
Oh, wow, eh?
And I've been talking to the organizers there. They want me to MC it. I agreed to do that. That's interesting.
Wow. Maybe we should reach out and see if we can get us.
Well, I did reach out to Medicaid prior to anything being. As soon as it was like right after Cannabis Day, I reached out and I said, "What are your thoughts on BC Bud Day?" And I didn't get anything back. The previous year, they were a little upset that there was a BC Bud Day. They had canceled it, but it went on anyway, and they thought that I did it, and I didn't do it. I went there because there was an event going on. It's what I do. I go to events. And I set up a tent, and I took part. I think I did cannabis at 420 like I always do. But I wasn't the organizer. I just went because people were going there.
I wouldn't let it tear you apart. You've been invited to one, you haven't been invited to the other. So that you technically can say, well, I was not invited. I did not even know about it.
Well, that is what the truth is,
right,
and so that is what I will be saying to them.
Yeah. If they ask you.
Yeah.
If they were to ask you, but I don't.
But I reached out to them early. They should have reached out to me early.
Now we should be the cannabis community that comes together.
Well, and that's what I'm thinking is how can we bring this together in some way? I don't know. Maybe we can't. And maybe it's fine that there be two different BC Bud Day events. Maybe there should be BC Bud events all over the place.
Yeah.
So I think that'll all be fine. for me, I wished I'd have known that there was a choice, and maybe there wasn't a choice. I wasn't invited to this. Maybe they still, maybe they still think I'm the one who hijacked the one last year by taking part or whatever. Yeah. But in any case, I prefer Thornton Park. Yeah. That's what I would go with. I know the Canna Garden people, they want to make Sunset Beach a regular thing there, and it has been for a while now. They want to continue that. There are ups and downs to both. You know? The only real down to Thornton Park, I think, is the goose poop. Yeah, and I think that's the plus about Sunset Beach is that there's a lot of people that are just there for the beach, and they come up on the market and they go, "Wow, now I can try out something that's not government, and maybe bring them back to the market because they were able to try it there, right?" Yeah, no, there's definitely positives to both. And having it in both places, we're going to reach more people. It's the heat is the only reason that I have concerns about the Sunset Beach. For both Cannabis Day and for BC Bud Day. The heat is a real concern. We all have tents, right? We also have tents. We have tents, but the passers-by don't have tents. Even with tents, the heat can be overwhelming for some people. We had problems at the art gallery on Cannabis Day several times over the years because of it being too hot and no shade. Has put tables and umbrellas there at Sunset Beach for people, so we can beat the heat. There are ways to beat the heat, but if the heat's there, there will be people that don't beat the heat. When you're saying the heat, I was thinking of the cops. The heat the old term of the. We're still finding ways to beat that heat. Wonderful, wonderful. Jerry Martin will not be with us today. He's not. He's on the island, is where he is. Oh, there he is. Lucky him. It's a nice trip over there on a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. Might go to Duncan tomorrow, maybe. Maybe we'll find out. That'll be cool. It's a nice trip, like I say. A nice ferry ride. Yeah. The island is beautiful. If it's a nice day, it's gorgeous. It's going to be gorgeous. And Jerry Martin, for those who don't know, he's a regular segment on the show. We talk about Martin Medical Services, a dispensary that was operating in Whitewood, Saskatchewan back several years ago now. And with the legalization in Canada, rather than being included into the mainstream marketplace, all of the medical dispensaries were ordered to shut, including Jerry's. He didn't shut his dispensary until he was arrested and charged and had all of his properties seized. And 4.5 years later, just recently he had his actual first day in court. He's actually had 40 appearances in court, but never did he get to tell his story until just recently. So that hearing has taken place. There's two other I don't know if they're co-defendants because they're bringing a constitutional challenge forward, and that's what this is all about. And so that testimony has all been heard or submitted to the judge. The affidavits are in. The final arguments will happen in September, and sometime after that we will get a decision. And so we've been following Jerry on his journey through all of this. I don't think there's anything really much to report, although it's getting closer and closer to the time when the final arguments are going to happen in any case. Meanwhile, Jerry's been very active, as he always has been in his life, and he's been on the trek of freedom of thought, if you will. The right to access psychedelic medicines, the right to be able to choose for yourself what you think about what spiritual and mental journeys you might decide to go on. Nobody's business but yours, certainly not the business of governments, yet they've made it their business to profit from it. And Jerry's on quite the campaign to show the truth about the rights of individuals to be able to, for their own reasons, do whatever they want to do unless they're hurting somebody else. And certainly in the partaking of psychedelic plant medicines, there's a lot of benefit to be had there for people. There's a lot of evidence that it helps people with pain and depression and addiction, PTSD, and many other things, including probably sleep eventually. And so Jerry's been doing all of that, and I really value him on the show, and he'll be here next week, I'm sure, update us on where he's at with all of that. And we look forward to the decision in that case because it really affects what's going on with us here at the Cannabis Substitution Program. The Cannabis Substitution Program is a program where we offer high-dose edibles to people to help get them transitioned off of opioids and street drugs. We've been doing it for almost 4.5 years. 4 years and 5 months ago, we started giving out high-dose edibles at Vandu, a local advocacy group here in Vancouver that helps people suffering from the oppression of laws with respect to their drug use. And we were very successful over the course of time at Vandu. We actually had 300 events. We did once a week for a full year. We did twice a week for 2.5 more years. And 300 total times we were there. I got some numbers today representing what we managed to accomplish during that time. The accomplishments included studies that were done on what we were doing and other people in North America and around the world that were doing other similar things with cannabis. Studies that showed the efficacy of high-dose edibles in replacing opioids and other street drugs. These studies were considered by the City of Vancouver, who were also very aware of our program. I presented to City Council before starting the program back 4.5 years ago. I presented to the Vancouver Police Board as well. We had the full backing of the local harm reduction groups, including and especially Vandu. And so we had been running our program for this length of time when the Vancouver City Council decided to vote on a motion put forward by Councillor Rebecca Bly to allow and support the low barrier access to cannabis as a tool to deal with the opioid crisis. We met with the city, agreed that we would open a storefront, that they would support us, and we did. And that was 13 months ago now, a little more. We opened into this space a storefront. We're here 1 block away from Hastings and Maine, the main drug dealing center in North America. Wasting in pain is what they call it. There's more homeless and addicted in the 8 square blocks around Hastings and Maine than any other city that I'm aware of, certainly in Canada, that's for sure. And so we've been doing this for this length of time. We opened our store. The City of Vancouver would not support us without getting some support. First they said from the provincial government, but it turned out that what we're doing is extremely medical, or definitely medical, and requires the permission from the federal government. So we immediately applied for a ministerial exemption from the Health Ministry of Canada to allow us to provide cannabis the way that we had been for 3.5 years at that point, and to be able to get licenses for ourselves and our suppliers in the time after that. That application has been delayed and postponed and not acted upon in any timely manner whatsoever. And so after 4.5 months of being in the storefront and operating like a real store for people to be able to walk into and get the services that they need, we were forced out of the store. We immediately got an RV. We didn't stop our services. We've been, since the moment we opened our store, 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. And so we have an RV out front here, and we've been operating our crew out there, helping people get access through the program and through the Healing Wave Dispensary, low barrier access, low cost cannabis outlet. And that's what's been going on for all this time. And here we are still waiting for the federal government to give us the approval that we need. Prior to getting the storefront, during the time we were at Vandu, we did form a society so that we could legally discuss matters with governments. And so we are the Serious Hope Society, and we are waiting still for permission to be able to do what we've been demonstrating is effective and safe for 4.5 years. And without their approval, we can't get a bank account, which prevents us from doing proper fundraising. We can't have the storefront, which allowed us to serve the people in a much more of a safe space and friendly space than at the side of an RV through the rain and the winter and the heat and the rest of it. We'd be able to expand our program. We'd be able to do delivery and mail order to people. We'd be able to have other outlets for what we do. There's other people waiting across Canada for our approval so that they can do what we're doing, because what we're doing is saving people's lives, rescuing people from addiction, properly addressing this extremely costly and deadly epidemic of overdose deaths due to a poison drug supply. We have an answer for that. For most and many people, this works. High-dose cannabis edibles is sufficient to get a person right through that withdrawal period that is so much the barrier to getting off of drugs. It is the reason that it's called addictive, because there's a physical response to quitting to the point of death. You can die if you don't quit properly from many of these substances that people are on. And to get through the withdrawal is so painful and it's so difficult that people try and try and try again and many times fail because they can't stand the pain of it all. Whereas with high-dose edibles, it'll put you to sleep. It'll get you through 3 or 4 days. Many people will tell you that's how they did it. That's how they got off the opioids and the other street drugs. And now they live their lives using cannabis edibles or concentrates or just smoke cannabis, whatever works for them after they're off the other drugs. And cannabis is why they're not risking life and death every time they roll the dice and take another dose of those other drugs. And so we've been offering this demonstration to our governments for 4.5 years. I never thought it would go past a year before the governments would kick in and support us and understand that this is the right answer. There's been nothing to say in any way that what we're doing is not the right answer. There's no problems that we've had other than just about everybody when they first start with edibles, they eat too much. And they have to either then decide to continue to use edibles but not eat too much anymore, or they don't do it anymore, which is really too bad because they could probably find the right dose and it would work. But without the support of government, we're left in limbo, still operating our services even though we've had threats from the VPD to stop, and we've been told we should wait until we get a license. But we can't do that. We absolutely wouldn't do that. Our program consists of over 250 people. We're up closer to 300 now that rely on us to get their edibles on a regular basis to be able to not have to use other drugs. And we have experts in the field telling us and putting in writing for us that we've presented to government that these people will be put at risk of death if we stop doing what we're doing. And we certainly wouldn't stop doing what we're doing just because of a corrupt government that's decided that they want to take over the whole production and distribution of cannabis under a monopoly model with extremely inflated, artificially high prices for what is just a plant that anybody should be able to have easily and access as easily as you can access broccoli and lettuce and tomatoes and grapes and everything else in the marketplace. This is just a plant like all of those plants. And yeah, there should be high-priced connoisseur cannabis. Why not? There's high-priced connoisseur, lots of stuff. And I'm sure lots of people are willing to pay for the expertise of fantastic growers and the equipment that they purchase and the way they grow and trim and present cannabis. Lots of space for them in the marketplace too, but not at the expense of the poor people, the sick people, the daily users. Those people need to be able to get cannabis easily, cheaply, and it'll save their lives and it'll solve their addiction problems. And it'll be a so much better society if we would just allow this, because our society is messed up and upside down so much because of the attempt to prohibit drugs like especially cannabis, but even those other drugs, which results in the street market, which results in the deaths of all of these people and all the suffering and everything that's going on, is all because of government policy and government interference.
Do you think government's just letting them do this because they're going to end up dying and then they won't be a burden to the government and they won't have to...
Well, I don't think the government is a single thinking entity. The government is a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And within that government structure, there's people in positions of influence. And many of those people, I know, see the people that we're trying to save as disposable. And not just disposable, but they should be disposed of. There is that attitude there. Just like there has been with the indigenous people for all of these decades of abuse of those people, because there's people in positions of influence within our governments that feel that way.
So there could be like the same thing that's happening down there. They just don't care about them. They don't want to help them because they're going to live longer and they'll be more of a burden, right?
They not only don't care about them, they do care that we get rid of them. They do care that they not be there, that we drive the Indian out of the child, that we drive the drug use out of the drug user, that all of these positions of these people in governments has no position when dealing with the people in this country and in this planet. And it's caused the messes that we have.
Take a look at what you're doing.
Yeah.
Well, not quite yet, because I got some numbers I want to go over.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to see you next week.
Oh, are you? You're going to leave me alone. All right.
You're going to do your numbers.
I know.
Then you'll go out there.
I was just kind of going on with you just sitting
All
there
right,
anyway.
well, I can sit here then.
No, you don't have to sit there. I'm fine by myself.
I got nowhere to go. I just thought I would get out of here.
You're not in my way.
All right.
You're good at sitting there quietly and letting me tell the people at home what you already know.
All right. And I'll back you up some.
Yeah, you do, and it's good to have a little bit of feedback. I really don't like sitting here talking all by myself to people that
I'm not going
I can't see. I like talking to people that I can see. I wish I could see all of you people. That'd be awesome. But I did put together some numbers because I thought it was important to understand, where we're at here with the program, because this has been a demonstration. And in a demonstration, you want to keep track of what the results of your demonstration were.
Yeah.
So by the numbers, the CSP has been operating, that's the Cannabis Substitution Now program, originally the project, for 4 years and 5 months. 3.5 years at Vandu, a total of 300 times going there. 250 people on average. We started out within the first, I'd say 10 times, but less than that, of times that I showed up there. I started out going on Saturdays just by kind of fluke. I got into a rhythm, pick up on Fridays, drop off on Saturdays. Never told anybody I was coming. Never asked, can I come on Saturday? I just showed up. The 4th time that I showed up in a row on a Saturday at noon, there was a long lineup. And there was a handful of really amazing people that were there to say, hey, we want to help you do what you're doing. We heard what you were doing here. This is amazing. And so that became the Cannabis Substitution Program. And we started out basically after 10 times. We had 160 people. That pretty much grew pretty fast to 200 people, to 250 people. Till for at least the last year and a half of that project, we were giving out 300 care packs every time we went.
And then went right around the corner.
Right around the block.
Right around the corner.
We would bring
hand out stuff,
300 care packs. At times there were people that were coming through twice, and that was fine because what we were giving out was a care pack with about 400 milligrams of high dose edibles per pack. It depends on how much you need and how much you use, but for people trying to offset the use of opioids or get through withdrawal, that's about a 2-day supply. For the first year, we only went once a week. For the second 2.5 years later, we were doing it twice a week. But even then, coming every 3.5 days or 4 days or 3 days, that was just barely enough for people to be able to use it for the intended purpose, which was to get off of those street drugs and the opioids. But that's what we did. So 300 times, 250 people on average, 400 milligrams per pack each time. That's 30 million milligrams of high-dose edibles.
At about 65 milligrams per dose, right?
Well, it depends. It ranged, from the 5 milligram gummy balls that we got from Green Wilderness to the 250 milligram chunks that we would give out. The Gorilla Ganja with the 80 milligrams per package. John Murray's stuff ranged from 50 to 60. I want to say John Murray, all by himself, over these years, has given out over 800,000 milligrams.
Wow!
In his muffins and food and the other things that he's done there. I don't have numbers for the other donators, but some of them are going to be incredible.
A computer program, so you can do that at the end of the day, and then after the year, you just total it all up, right?
Yeah, we're keeping pretty good track of numbers these days, and in the past we have a pretty good idea. I did post every time we were there. Who donated what and what have you. So we have the ability to put those numbers together, and I'll tell you they're going to be very impressive. There's a number of people that have given so much to our program, and without those donators, it doesn't work.
And those people are still alive today that are using your high dose edibles.
Many of them are. Yeah, most of them are. We've lost a few people along the way, but
without your high, they may have been dead.
Oh, we know we've kept a number of people alive. And not only that, we've bettered their lives. We've watched them go from drug sick to being fully functional human beings with a jump to their step and a smile and a gleam in their eye,
Because they know they're making it.
They're doing well, and they love that they can still come and get their high-dose edibles and, the rest of it. So, we've watched the program do so much good here.
This is it. This is the community patting you on the back, man. They're like, you're saving lives.
I'm just a representative of all of the people that have helped us. These people like John Murray and so many other donators. So many other donators.
Together, so.
And I'm very happy.
Pat their back. Okay.
I'm very happy to be to be the vehicle that's brought this together. It is my vision. But it's only the other people that make it work. I can visualize all I want, but if I don't have all these people actually doing the work, it doesn't happen.
But it does.
And we've been doing the work a lot.
Now Mary McCarty's out there doing the same thing in London, and it's working for her too. So you guys have definitely got a good.
Yeah, these are our numbers here. There's other numbers. We'll get to that in a minute too. So 13 months ago, and a little bit, we moved into this store and then into the RV. But for 13 months, we've been operating for 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. We have 250, well, closer to 300 people in our program, but let's say 250 people in our program. They get 420 milligrams every 4 days. That's been going on for, I think it's like 335 days or something like that. That's been happening. That's about 8 million more milligrams that you could add to the original 30 milligrams.
So now we're up to 38.
But it's not just the Cannabis Substitution Program. Well, it is. It is.
Yeah.
But it's not just the people in the program
Yeah.
that benefit from the CSP here, because what we had to do was we couldn't just turn people away.
No.
When we capped at first 250 people, the membership in the program to get that, we still had a number of people coming to us daily that were drug sick, that were desperate, that wanted to get on the program, and we had to say, we're really sorry, but right now we don't know that we can properly sustain this much.
Yeah.
We can't add any more people until
Now
we
you
know.
felt like what a treatment center
And
has
so
to
what
say.
we would do is we would have something for those people. We would never turn them away. And I mean by something, a high-dose edible and a joint.
Okay.
So every time they would come, and they could come every day. So we have a whole bunch of people that really aren't part of the program, but
No,
they kind
they're
of really
getting-
are part of another separate program,
Yeah.
but we don't register their name. We don't register what we give them.
They're not even getting
We
100
do keep
milligrams,
track
yeah.
of what we give out the side window as
Yeah.
opposed to the back door for the program.
Yeah.
And that's now totaling about 1 million more milligrams over the
Wow.
last year that we've been giving out
Out the side window.
out the side window. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
And
we're
then
at
people
about
donate, give
39
donations
million
to that. Yeah.
milligrams of high dose edibles. Now that breaks up into chunks because we don't give them out 1 milligram
No.
at a time.
No.
What we give out is basically on average we would say 65 milligrams.
Yeah.
Because we have those that range into the hundreds, we have those down lower. So based on 65 milligrams per unit, that's 600,000 doses that we've provided
Wow.
people with.
Wow, that's a
And,
lot of doses.
so that's amazing.
It's a lot of
and
helping people, too.
It's an incredible thing. It really does move me a lot, and it's
I think the world would have been
a
a lot better
demonstration,
place if
folks.
it
This
wasn't
is
so
a
illegal.
demonstration here. This
Yeah.
is we want the government to look at what we're demonstrating and say, yes, you're right. This does save people's lives and,
Yeah.
and rescue them from addiction, and so
Yeah.
we will support that.
Yeah.
That's what this is all about.
That's all it is.
That's what I wanted from the very beginning. That's why I started with City Council. Well, once I had Van Du's support,
Yeah.
I went to City Council. That's who I wanted on board with me, was my city. These are our public servants. These are the people that represent us, the people. We have a huge chunk of people in British Columbia, but certainly in this city, that are really struggling and dying at an alarming rate, and they know it, and they're trying to do all kinds of things. So we stepped up and said, we're going to demonstrate what the right thing to do is,
Yeah.
and we're doing it.
And what did they do? They gave
They're giving
better
us-
access to the fentanyl and stuff now because they don't want them to get the street stuff, right? So now they made it a lot easier for
Well,
them to keep
their
on
answer
these
is all based on pharmaceutical
Yeah.
replacements
drugs.
for
Yeah,
what
and they
people
made
are
it easier,
taking.
right?
You know, I mean, sure, they've got some let's get off the drug programs, but that doesn't sit well with the people who need those drugs because they're in serious pain every day, and they've got issues, and it's nobody's business what their issues are, but they want to use drugs. They need to use those drugs. That's their decision to do that. So the government respects that, sort of, but it's corrupt. Because the way they're going to respect that is by saying, okay, well, here's another alternative for you that won't be tainted with fentanyl, and
Yeah.
and you can still get the drug that you're looking for to do the thing that you need it to do for you, and it'll be safe because you're getting it through us instead of these guys on the
And we're
street.
going to limit how much you get.
And then the pharmaceutical companies make a whole bunch of money paid for by taxpayers,
Yeah.
so that they can just switch from one opioid to another. Less problematic because there's not the same risk of death. Still a risk of death. Because anytime you're talking opioids or other dangerous street drugs, they have a low HD 50 rating.
Yeah.
They're
Anybody can overdose.
you can overdose on that stuff too, and,
Yeah.
and it's not pleasant. It messes up your bowels. It messes up all kinds of different
yeah.
things. It messes up your sleep. It's not the right. It's not what people would rather use if they knew that there was an option of cannabis and how that could work for them. So.
We're getting there.
LD50, by the way.
LD50.
LD50.
Not London drugs.
In case you don't know, the LD50 rating is the rating that they give to everything that you could possibly somehow ingest into your human body. And the way that they determine the LD50 rating is well, not always, but they determine, let's just say that they try to determine how many people would die at what dose of this particular substance. And when it's 50% of the people would die at this particular dose, then it gets the lethal dose 50 rating. So 50% of average people would die at this particular dose. Like, 10% would die at a much less dose.
Yeah.
But at this dose, we got 50% of the people dying.
With doses after a year, it keeps getting higher and higher, or maybe a few months you have to do a little bit higher.
Well, you're talking about an individual's relationship with an opioid.
Yeah.
With an opioid, you need to continue to increase the dosage as your body builds these little mini neural networks to accommodate the drug and how it works.
Wow.
Cannabis doesn't work like that. You do build a little bit of a tolerance to a level, but it's not like the opioids where you need that same
and
amount.
all you have to do to reset that level is not smoke for the day.
Right. Just take a couple of days off.
Yeah, or just smoke less. Maybe not total stop, but even just like we were smoking 6 joints in a day, smoke 2 that day, and you almost reset yourself.
If you're smoking 6 joints a day, well, and if you're using it for pain and anxiety or other issues, then use what you need to use. If you're just using it recreationally and you're finding it's not getting you where you want to be recreationally, just take a break, and then you'll find that more is less.
Yeah.
You don't need 6 joints a day recreationally.
No.
If you smoke 2 joints a day recreationally, you'll get a much more of a buzz or whatever you're looking for.
Yeah, because I'm getting impressed. If I stop for a day and I smoke a joint the next day, it's like it hits you like, oh.
Well, a lot of people are chronic, and when you're chronic, you wake and you get up in the morning.
I eat first.
You eat.
Yeah, I have to eat.
I bounce back and forth. Sometimes I take a couple puffs while I'm preparing something to eat. Sometimes I eat a couple bites before I have a couple puffs.
I kind of cheated this morning too because my Puffco had some rosin in it. I had to clear the hole, and I had to make sure it was working. So I put a piece of shatter in there just to see what was working. So I didn't eat first this morning, but yeah.
So the government says that people should be very careful about the dosage of edibles, and they restrict that down to a really low amount. If you want to use high dose edibles with the government, it's going to cost you a lot, and you're going to ingest a lot of chocolate. But there's no good reason for that.
No.
Sure, too much isn't fun.
No.
Too much is not a fun thing to do. Nobody wants to do that. Once you've had that uncomfortable overdosing on too much edibles experience, you don't want that again.
No.
People are very careful not to do that again. It's a self-regulating experience. You're just not going to do it again. It's not going to kill you the first time or the second or third or fourth time. It's not going to kill you, but it's not fun. You don't want to do it, so people don't do it. You don't need the government to do anything except to tell you that if you eat too much, it's not comfortable, you won't like it, probably try not to do that. That's all you need the government to tell you. Not restrict how much you can get.
If you get too drunk on your first time, people will come back to you, oh man, you were so drunk last night, that was so funny, right? And then you want to do it again. But it's
depending on how your morning went. Sometimes depending on how the night before went, there can be things that happen.
But that's not with weed.
It's not with weed.
You don't get going, everybody, hey man, did you ever green out last night? We were looking at you flopping on the floor. Right?
And that doesn't have to be from edibles, and probably usually it isn't. What Glenn's talking about is concentrates.
Yeah.
That you can green out from concentrates. Yeah. I've seen lots of people flip out on concentrates.
Yeah.
And there again, it won't kill you.
No.
It's not that bad.
Put you to sleep.
Put you to sleep a little bit. People do repeat.
I feel a bit of waves.
They repeat that a little bit, but then once you've had it a couple of times, you really don't green out much anymore. You kind of learn to deal with that.
I gotta take a break.
Yeah, you're gonna drink some water here.
It's yourself too.
Yeah, or you learn not to take. You still, again, you self-regulate.
Yeah, you do.
Self-regulate.
You know how to, right? So.
But the point is, it's not dangerous.
No.
That's my point here.
Yeah.
And people deserve the freedom to be able to make their own choices for themselves, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And there's lots of things you can choose that are dangerous. Mm-hmm. That's your right. Mm-hmm. Getting up in the morning can be dangerous. You know, lots of things.
Crossing the street can be dangerous.
You know, from what I hear, there's a lot of space debris, a lot of satellites, a lot of other stuff coming in. Anything coming from us directly from the sun, we can't even see and won't even know it hits. You know, there was a recent solar storm. They thought maybe some of the solar equipment would go down or what have it. Didn't turn out to be the case here. But there's potential every moment that you're awake. Taking a breath and staying alive carries with it a certain risk. Yeah. You know, it's just life. And it's up to the parents to deal with the tiny ones to make sure those risks are mitigated, and then to teach those tiny ones as they grow how to mitigate those risks and live their lives and make good choices. And by the time you're an adult, and by the time you've been an adult for a while, you've been there, you've done that, you got it on. There's not much. I mean, yeah, you can be outside of your realm of expertise. You can be seriously outside your realm of expertise. But for the most part, even when you're there, you've got enough life experience to gain you that experience that you need when you're way out of your comfort zone and be able to deal with it. And we don't need parents anymore after we get out of that. That's what nature provides. And we don't need governments pretending to be parents. And we don't need them telling us that we can't do these drugs because that means everybody's going to go, drugs? What drugs? You know how many people do drugs around the world, man? I mean, crazy. Everybody, you know, is doing all kinds of drugs. You know, be it an aspirin for your headache or a coffee to wake you up in the morning or sugar to get you going or whatever it is. And, of course, all those other things that we really would associate with being drugs. But drugs come in a lot of different forms. People take drugs. We're always trying to solve an issue, to gain more energy, to sleep better, to deal with pain, to, you know, all these things. And if there's something out there in our environment that can help us with that, well, as a human being, we try to do that. And it's nobody's business to tell you you can't try something for yourself, especially if you're in some serious dilemma. So here we are. We've got this prohibition on cannabis that is costing so much money of our tax dollars being spent on CSU teams, on all of this flipping stuff. They're spending money on so much of our court time in Canada here is tied up in stuff to do with cannabis and other drugs that the government thinks they can tell people not to do and they just won't do. And if you do, oh well, we've got taxpayers' money, we're going to spend a bunch of it, and all these people are going to make their living and pay their rents because we're going to drag you through the court system, and all those cops are going to put in for their money, and the court people are going to put in for their money, and then if we put you in a jail cell, well, we got more money that we're going to spend on you for that, and we're going to take some of your money too. And all of this stuff is just absolute ridiculously criminal. It's horribly wrong. It has no basis in justice or in what freedom is supposed to be all about or anything like that. And here we have alcohol, tobacco, prescription drugs, all of these things readily available for people. Tobacco and alcohol is available in grocery stores and gas stations all across this province and much of North America. And prescription drugs and non-prescribed, just over-the-counter regular drugs that kill so many people, we have no idea. You know, we have no idea. I got statistics on alcohol. Alcohol just by itself. We're not talking about car accidents. We're not talking about somebody getting drunk and falling down and banging their head. We're not talking about somebody killing somebody else. We're talking about the substance itself, which causes cancer and liver failure and all these other... 3 million people every 12 months globally die just from consuming alcohol. In the province of British Columbia, it's 300 or 400 people every year that die from just consuming too much alcohol.
That's crazy.
Tobacco, it's 8 million.
Wow.
Commercial tobacco globally kills 8 million people. It's available in grocery stores and drugstores and gas stations, for God's sake. It's available anywhere. Yeah, they put ugly pictures and warnings on the labels, and now it can't be advertised. I don't know how people figure out what brand they want to smoke, but people are still smoking cigarettes. In fact, they're smoking cigarettes so much that it's the #1 reason that we have admissions to hospitals in Canada. Yet all of these things are legal, easily available. Prescription drugs, there's no real estimate for. They'll tell you 1 million people died from overdosing on prescription drugs. But that's a statistic but that's where it's
side effects from the drugs.
Well, and that's not all the deaths by any means. There is no obligation on doctors in any jurisdiction to attribute a death to the misuse or even just the use of prescription drugs. They do admit to some.
Yeah.
You know, there's a million or so that
Yeah,
they
you can OD on a sleeping pill and admit to that.
There are thousands, hundreds of thousands of deaths from prescription drugs that are prescribed properly and taken as prescribed.
Yeah.
And yet we don't know much about those because, like I
They
say,
don't
no
report.
real obligation to report on those. It's not a major emergency.
Because
You don't
what they
get
did
you don't
was
get a
scare them.
representative of the doctors up there with a representative of the government every day talking about who died today, who lost their mother today because of some prescription drug that they took that just didn't work well for them.
Yeah.
You don't hear any of that. You don't hear nothing of that. It's never reported on in the papers
Now-
or anywhere else.
Now you notice that they do drug commercials and they tell you all the side effects that could happen.
Well, because
to you.
we fought
Right.
for that in
Yes.
law.
Yeah.
We
So,
fought for
we
that.
won that, right?
And that's what they have to do now. They can't just come on and glorify the use of these drugs.
No.
Because there's so many side effects, and the side effects
there
are
could
so
be.
serious.
Could be, because we all are kind of different.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It does affect, some of us might not get those side effects.
That's
some
right.
of
Not
us
everybody
might.
gets all the side
Exactly.
effects.
Yes.
Some people get more benefit than side effects.
Exactly, right.
Probably,
But
you would
I don't
think.
think they're allowed to say that because they just tell you the side effects are this, right? So I don't
Hair loss and impotence. And
Yeah.
no big deal. Hair loss, impotence, death. You can deal with all that. You don't
Yeah,
need your hair
sure.
if you're impotent,
No.
right?
I guess not.
And if you're not getting laid, you may as well die. So, you know, prescription drugs aren't all that bad.
Oh, that was kind of hard to say because
Oh,
when
man.
you get a certain age, you're not getting laid. So are we supposed to die?
Depends how rich you are.
Yeah. So save
Yeah.
your money for when you're old.
Yeah.
You just heard Neil say it.
Well, costs money. Costs money to get such things. Get somebody else to agree to help you with your desires there most of the time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In any situation that you go through, be it through the dating app,
Yeah, the dating app.
it might cost you some money.
Yeah.
Oh, you never know.
You never know.
You never know. We like to joke about it anyway, and for some people it does cost money. And I guess other people make money at it. So, you know, and that's kind of the trick too, right? You know,
Yeah. So you're gonna go out to the RV?
I guess we should go out to the
Yeah,
RV
almost
and
like-
see what's going on out there.
525, something like that.
Yeah.
Y'all have a great
There's so
week.
much more we could always talk about, you know, with respect to freedom and rights and
Hey, we can do it next
individuals.
week.
And that's why I do it every week,
Oh,
because I
we
don't
can.
run out of things to say, I guess, even though I repeat myself a lot. All right.
All right, you have a good week, and we'll see you next week,
Thank
sir.
you so much, Glenn. I appreciate
Yeah, no
that.
problem.
One day you'll be so busy with your whole CannaMatch thing, you'll wonder why you ever did it.
No, I'll always be here, man. I'm dedicated.
Very good. It's a beautiful sunny day in Vancouver. We are 1 block away from Hastings in Maine over there. We have a police station right up there and the courthouse right there. This is known as Piss Alley. You can shoot it down there. There's nobody down there, but there's the tent's set up. There's a bunch of people down there that are doing their thing. There's places there where the government gives away needles and other things like that. I think there's a program there for people to get methadone. This is our Healing Wave van. Hi. So this is where it all happens. This is the low barrier access point that we've been operating 6 days a week, 8 hours a day from for just about 9 months now that we've been in the RV.
Have a baby.
Yeah, we could. The baby will. Isn't that? Maybe that's what it's all about. Maybe that application that we sent. Mind you, the application we sent in, that's over 10 months ago now. Over 10 months ago.
Be a big baby.
So it'll be the baby's overdue. The baby's overdue. I like what Brian Carlisle had to say on the show a few weeks ago. He came on and he particularly targeted Mr. Seguin, you know, Benoit Seguin in Ottawa with Health Canada, and Patty Haydu as being people that are in charge of perhaps signing a piece of paper that we could mount on the wall, and then we could get support from the banks and from the city and from you know, other places that we want to be given some credibility from. So his thing was sign or resign. I think that might be true. You know, this could be a resignable offense when it all comes together and we put the real numbers together and show how much good we've done without any government support, and in fact with resistance from government to support us in ways that would have allowed us to save more people. That this is a very serious situation, and I think it's a resignable situation. We were promised on putting in our application originally that it would be dealt with in a timely fashion. We were then told 3 months later in a video conference call with Health Canada that they were sorry it had taken 3 months, They recognized the good that we were doing at that time and that they were hindering our progress, that they felt that because of COVID and the holidays, it would take till early January. Let's move aside here.
Side to the back, keep talking.
Well, maybe. And that in early January they would have the permission that we needed to be able to do what we're doing in a proper way. And yet that has long since come and gone. We're now into late July and still waiting, still submitting to Health Canada, because on almost a daily basis there's things coming forward where the efficacy of cannabis to offset the use of opioids and street drugs is becoming more and more established, and yet you know, nothing yet. And of course my belief on that is that Health Canada, the government of Canada, has made promises to very rich and powerful people that they will not allow for cannabis to be accessed cheaper than what they're allowing for in the government stores, and that even though we've obviously put them in a position where they can't say no, because we have, you know, doctors and professors and people that have written down and presented us in writing their statements that people will be put at risk of death if we stop, they can't say no to what we're doing here. But at the same time, they're not willing to say yes. It's been over 10 months now, and more ludicrous and outrageous every moment that goes on. But in the meantime, we continue to help people and be here to operate our services. We haven't moved this RV much than a half a block for over, well, almost 9 months now. And what we do here is we operate the Cannabis Substitution Program. People that want to access the program, that are members, they come and knock on the back door. There's a semi-secret knock, but not really. Any knock will get you in. But let's see what happens if we use the secret knock. Well, hello.
How's it going?
Not too bad. Andrew, how you doing, man?
Not bad.
That's
Pretty good.
Still out here in the RV?
Yeah, that's what the government has put us through. I'm still putting gummies and all the chocolates and everything else into a styrofoam container. And,
not so bad for you, though, because you're one of the crew that can stand upright in the thing.
I got the back door.
You don't know what that's like for George. He's got to crouch all the time when he's standing at the back door.
Exactly. I still got to put it on.
You're just suited perfectly for this RV, but you're still not happy about it.
No, I'm not happy about it because I still got to put it all on ice.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to put it on ice. All I have to do is, when we're in a store, all I have to do is go back to the fridge, open the door, and grab one for them.
Right.
This time I have to put it on ice and make sure, you know.
Yeah, or go back in the store from
here.
here.
Go back in the store from here, yeah. Exactly.
I mean, it's only like 40 feet, but then another 30 feet to the fridge. But still, this is not okay. This is not...
No, it's not where we want to be.
It's not where we want to be. It's not right. We shouldn't be out in an RV here. The sick people of Canada, the poor people of Canada, they deserve to have a storefront.
And so many people
They deserve to be able to walk in like as if they're a normal, first-class human being, and there in front of them is what they need, and they can get access to it. But they're treated like second and third-class citizens, where, you know, we get an RV because we're lucky enough to not be raided and busted by them. But what we can't have, apparently, is just a storefront like everybody else for whatever drug, alcohol, or food, or whatever you want.
You're saying we can't help people. We're not allowed to help people.
Yeah, we're not allowed to help people.
Unless they're part of it.
They've told us. They threatened us. They said, stop doing what you're doing until you get a license.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
But we can't.
So thankfully they ignore us because we wouldn't stop.
From all the people that have come here since we've been out here and said that they love this thing that's going on. I've given out thousands and thousands of milligrams, and people love it all the time.
We went over that. It's
never,
actually millions.
They can never say anything bad.
I did the numbers. It's millions.
Millions, yeah.
Millions of milligrams.
You know, we saved those lives. Today we give them a bag that they won't overdose. They didn't go to the Carnegie Center. They didn't buy it from a stranger. Spend $20 to buy it from a stranger. Go home and die. We won't. This won't kill them. This
and
will make them stronger.
You've seen so many people in the
From here, they're going to have some edibles in their bag, and then they're going to go get a proper meal to eat.
You've seen people go from being like druggies and looking terrible to being pretty half-decent people running around here, right?
I've been where they've been, and I know what it takes to get back. And this is the way to go.
Because you were there too.
This side of the road over here in Cordova is for marijuana. See, this is less rough than it is just through the alley over to Hastings. That's a mess. Yeah. If you turn around, there's no mess here. Maybe garbage, that's about it.
There's nobody selling other drugs on this street. They're all over there.
Yeah, they're all over there selling everything, or they've taken the drug and they're on the ground twisting and bending. Nobody can bend that way unless you're high.
Yeah.
If you weren't high, you couldn't bend that way unless you went to exercise class. See, that's the thing. It's messy over there because nobody's doing anything about it. It's over here, it's clean because we're doing something about it.
Yeah, we've
Right?
changed this neighborhood in the last 13 months,
We
that's
sure
for sure.
have.
So,
And the people that come here will agree.
so you don't have much to show us, eh?
Well, we have this.
So there are some things in the tray.
Yes, we have some chocolates at 200 milligrams. We have some chocolate here, 2 pieces of white and dark chocolate for 100 milligrams.
Yeah.
We have Robert's caramels at 150, and we have some gummies here.
Gorilla
Ganja, and we have some gummies here that, because of the government stupidity, have melted in here at that 40-degree heat.
Yeah.
But it's 100
So
milligrams.
show us a melted bag.
This is a melted bag right here. They're
So
all
we're-
separate pieces. This one right here. This is a melted bag. They're all separate pieces. That's one. That's
Now
four.
it's one piece.
Yeah, it's one piece. Yeah. I have some one star cookie left
Great.
from Joe Pepper.
Great.
I have some cookies. That's 100 milligrams. I have a cookie left from Robert. They're bringing more. And then I just got these in today. Glenn brought these in.
Okay,
Some
that's from
gummies.
Carly.
Yeah, they're 100 milligrams.
Yeah, those are from Carly, and then
Yeah.
we got Roberta coming in tomorrow with more brownies.
We need some more brownies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Michael the Cookie Monster, I mean, he's been so good to us for 4 years
And
plus.
I have some of this snake oil
Yeah.
that we can give out. 10 milligram bottle. There's a bottle.
So
200,
there's
300.
caps
Yeah.
and there's topicals.
Yeah.
Do we have suppositories still?
Yes, we have suppositories.
We still have
Yeah,
some
we're selling
suppositories.
them.
We need more
Yeah.
suppositories.
Yeah.
We need a lot of things. We go through a lot of things. I mean, that's what they're demonstrating as well.
Sure we do, but
is that
what I've got to deal with is 266 people, so everybody gets a fair share. Everybody gets 420 or close to it, but they get a fair share of everything. I don't just give certain people. I don't just give everybody this. You know, I got lots of gummies, so I'm going to give. I can give rid of this. No, I can't. Everybody gets 2 gummies at 80 milligrams each. They're a choice because I've got 266, and then I've got about 255 on my waiting list.
And then a bunch of those people, they show up at the side window and they get helped out there.
Yes, they do.
On
They
a
can
daily
have a
basis.
cookie in the
so,
joint. We
yeah.
can still help them. They're not going away.
We still help them. We don't turn them
Yeah,
away
no,
with empty-handed
no.
at all.
We can help them.
But the program, we still, have limited
we're
amounts
not
of
going
ability
anywhere.
to say, okay, we can help this many more people.
We're not going anywhere.
And we could use more donations.
Sure we could.
We get kind of right down to it. He mumbles quite a
If you
bit
like
about how
what
much
we're doing,
we need.
And you want to clean up some of the area, do it with marijuana because it works.
It's true. All right. Well, thanks, Andrew.
Thanks,
Appreciate
guys.
that a lot.
I really appreciate it. Cheers.
So again, oh, I shouldn't do this. She doesn't like this thing. How you doing? Can you talk to the people for a minute?
Sure.
Okay. Then we'll talk to you for a minute.
About what? Not about anything in particular? You're just gonna walk off? Okay. Well, geez, I don't know where to start.
How's the day been?
It's been pretty good. We've a lot of people do get their money before Welfare Wednesday, so we've had a decent amount of traffic today. But just like every other day, we had a lot of people in need that come just for a free joint or an edible. Yeah, a lot of people rely on those. Definitely.
What sort of things do you hear? What do people tell you?
I think the only people getting a good sleep in this neighborhood are the people that come here and get a free edible. Honestly, so many people like John Murray's Little Muffins. Those are very, very popular down here. People fucking love those. People come back and buy them because they work so well for them. So yeah.
She's doing a fantastic job, I'll tell you. She's famous in this neighborhood. People know that they can come to her for help. Even when she's not working at the RV, they see her out on her power walks and things. And you usually have a joint for them or something, don't you? Or an edible or something. So, what were you calling them? Mercy joints?
People ask for a mercy joint.
Mercy joints. Yeah, I like that a lot.
One particular lady that says that.
Yeah.
Every time.
That's so cool. And, this program has been very successful here in Vancouver. And it wasn't too long after we started in Vandu that Howard DeJong took the idea over to Victoria, and they started a cannabis substitution program over there with the group Solid, the advocacy group over there, backing them. They've been very, very successful in Victoria. And since then, another one started up about a year and a half ago, a little more than that now, in Halifax. Chris Backer in Halifax, a wonderful guy that I stayed with on the Freedom Tour, a medical cannabis activist and advocate. suffered burns in a house fire, saving his animals, and was using cannabis to alleviate the serious burns that he had with topicals that he was making. And Health Canada had dictated that people could use cannabis as a topical, but not by taking the extracts or extracting the cannabinoids and making a topical ointment, but by simply rubbing the dry buds onto the wounds. And I know Chris did that back in the day as a demonstration to Health Canada to show that, well, that doesn't work, but it sure does work when you make a nice topical ointment out of it. And Chris went on to like what we were doing here in Vancouver and decided, that was something that his community could use as well. So he contacted me and we talked about it, and he put together a cannabis substitution program East Coast there. And like I say, for over a year and a half, they're handing out a couple hundred care packs. I know that on Monday just passed, it was 202 care packs handed out in just about an hour. And such a demand there for what he's doing as well. And very happy that he's been able to continue what he's doing without interference from the public servants there. And we had a baker here for a long time who was so wonderful. Mary McCarty was the head baker for us, and she ended up having to go back to Ontario. But we got into her whole soul here, and she decided that they needed the same thing in London, Ontario. And Mary's been doing the cannabis substitution program in London, Ontario for 14 weeks now. A couple hundred care packs went out today to a people. I think she's doing it from 420 Elizabeth Street in London, Ontario. There was some interference recently with a police officer came by and told Mary that what she was doing was illegal, and Mary told her to go get educated. Since then, there's been nothing further except a couple of bike cops rode by today, apparently, and one of the people in the neighborhood who has a sharp ear overheard them saying, well, as long as they're asking for ID from the young ones, I guess it's all right. And of course, we would always do that. I know Mary would do that as well. We want to protect the youth as best as possible. But the Canadian Senate said that people over 16 years of age should have easy, reasonable access to cannabis, because by that time, if they've decided they're going to use drugs, they're going to use drugs. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want my 16, 17-year-old son or daughter getting their drugs from some guy in a basement suite or down a back alley or out in the middle of nowhere somewhere, because they can't get easy access through reasonable, reliable, trustworthy people that could be licensed in some way to be able to provide that. So it is important to protect the youth as well, and I'm sure Mary is doing that as well. There's recently been some people helping Mary. I mentioned about all the different milligrams that we've been giving out here. I didn't include how much Chris has done in Halifax, or how much Mary has been doing in London, or Jack has been doing in Victoria. I'm sure their numbers are way up there as well. And all of that only happens because of people donating. This stuff doesn't come out of thin air. This stuff comes out of people's hearts. It comes out of people's hearts who care, they want to help, and they contribute by donating. It's a most wonderful thing. And recently there's a donator that's been helping Mary with the Fiddler's Green, and they say they're going to help us in every way that they can, and they're all behind the Cannabis Substitution Program. And I can't thank them enough for helping. And Canadian Lumber that provided all of those rolling papers for us, and Twisted Extracts for years was such a great donator, and now Gorilla Ganja, and Michael the Cookie Monster, and John Murray, and oh my God, I can't keep naming people, and there's so many that I should name. The point is that it's people that donate that make this work, and without it, it doesn't work at all. And so thank you so much to all the donators. I know there's Legacy 420 helping Mary out as well, and Bob Woolsey has been helping Mary out, and Mary needs some help there as the program just gets started. And Chris needs help. It's hard to find donators in Nova Scotia. And thankfully there's the mail system, so you can donate to either one of these people through that. And be a donator to some good cause is a really good thing to do. It's one of the better things you can do in your life. All you have in your life is time and the things that you can accumulate with your time. And to be able to be in a position to be able to give to people that need it, to help people that are in need of help, is a wonderful thing and a very enriching thing to do. And I recommend that you do that. And these places need support. We need support here. And so that's a great opportunity for somebody who has the ability to give back, to be able to give back. So that's just awesome what they're doing there, and it's so awesome that they're getting help. Volunteers are also necessary. Oh, I gotta get out of the way. Okay, I forgot. We are operating a business here. So as I mentioned, we've got a bunch of people that support us, and I've got these things here that are ready for the authorities whenever they decide that they want to come and ask us what we're doing here or give us any interference. This is from Professor Zachary Walsh, this whole long thing here. There's another one up there that's was penned by 2 of the city councillors here, and it's just absolutely outrageous that we could be left here not able to. You don't want that there. You want to be able to put that there. Let's continue to do that. Okay, that works. It'll get blown out of there. So yeah, it's extremely crazy that we're forced into an RV and people get treated like they're not even human beings out here. They're just ignoring us. That's the best we can get, which better than nothing for sure, I guess. But we want support. We want support from government. We want support from media. We want support from everybody, because the world is on fire and we need to do something about that, and we've got the means to help deal with that fire, and we've been doing it for a long time. This has been a hell of a demonstration that we've been putting on here. We show up and put in 8 hours every single day, so 6 days a week, to demonstrate over and over and over again until the government finally gets it. This works. This helps people. This community loves what we're doing here. We are thanked from the bottom of people's hearts every day. People come here and say, thank you so much for being here. I love that you're here. I love what you're doing. And without us, they would be desperate. They would be in a lot of trouble in their life, and they wouldn't know where to turn, because there really isn't much place to turn. And there should be. There should be community-based, low-barrier access cannabis stores in every community everywhere around the world, because people need cannabis. Cannabis helps people. It's a supplement to your endocannabinoid system, and so many people rely on it for so much. It is of such value that every community in the world should have easy access through a storefront where you can walk in and find all of the cannabis products that a person might need to help them in such a huge variety of different ways that can help. And we don't have that only because of government corruption, and that's no other reason. There is no other reason. The reasons that they gave was the government corruption. It was, it makes people violent, it makes people insane, it's dangerous, they overdose and die. That's what they started telling people about cannabis. And then that reefer madness was dispelled by studies that were done by the Schaefer Commission, by the Ledane Commission here. And they said, no, it doesn't make people violent and insane, and it doesn't kill people, and you don't overdose on it, and it makes you relaxed and hungry, and it'll help you sleep. And then it turns out, they try to prove it has no medical value, and it turns out it mimics our own endocannabinoid system. They had to name it the endocannabinoid system, because the chemistry in the cannabis and the cannabinoids is exactly the same as the chemistry in our bodies that is created for our endocannabinoid system. And what does that system do? It simply looks after all the other systems. It's the system that maintains the balance and the homeostasis of all of the other systems. So when there's trauma in the human body, when there's pain, when there's inflammation, when there's things not right, cannabis steps in and helps with that, or at least cannabinoids in the form of our endocannabinoid system steps in and helps with all of that. That's how we work, that's how we operate. That's why the cannabis plant, not the only plant in nature to have cannabinoids, but the plant in nature that has more cannabinoids than any other plant by a country mile, to the point that it's called cannabis, and it's covered in cannabinoids. And these cannabinoids help us in all of these varieties of ways. They should certainly not be prohibited. They should absolutely be encouraged, supplemented, provided for by public servants to anybody that needs it. If people are struggling with health and there's a plant that can help them, the last thing the government should be doing is setting up roadblocks and obstacles for people accessing that plant which could help them. The one thing they should be doing is making it easy for them to access it, especially when it's as profound as what we're talking about here, especially when cannabis helps people with cancer, especially when cannabis helps people get off of opioids. It helps people with sleep issues. It helps people that are in serious pain. It helps all of these people that are suffering and sick human beings that we as a society should care about probably more than anything else. And cannabis is this one amazing plant that has the ability to do that. And yet governments continue to spend millions of our tax dollars to restrict access, to implement a system where they control the supply and maintain artificially high prices. This is all a serious crime against us as human beings and needs to be addressed. So please do whatever you can do to address that. Find the people that you can talk to in your neighborhood or in your government that are there to make a difference, that are there to make this policy and to change policy. Bug those people. Implore those people to do the right thing. Explain to those people why what they're doing is wrong. Be a part of the solution any way that you can. There's a whole bunch of different things people can do. I highly recommend that you do it. We here at Pot TV try very hard to help people. There's a number of other shows that do similar things. I'm very thankful to Pot TV for allowing me this platform to be able to provide this message, because this is what's important to me, and this is a way that I get to get this off my chest and feel like I'm making a difference. I thank Neil, my producer, for helping me with that. I wouldn't be able to do the show without him. He's instrumental in making it all work and being very flexible about how we get things done. And to Pot TV in general, to cannabis culture, the longest standing video online program of podcasts in the world, and they allow me to do this. And they also have Carly Marley and BC Bud Girl on Mondays at 4 o'clock doing the 420 Lifestyle Show. We've got Johnny B on Fridays doing How's It Growing, as he helps people learn how to grow. One of the very most important things in this world is that we all grow if we can, and it's so important to you as an individual to grow if you can, because growing plants that you are going to consume for your own personal health and mental clarity and financial security, which hopefully won't be the case forever, but for a while, for a long time, for many, and I hope it continues to be a source of financial security for people as it becomes big business and mainstream and all of that. We can make all of that work. BC Bud Gal also has Morning Glory Thursdays at 10 a.m. so you can wake and bake with her. There's other opportunities with Pot TV to have your own podcast, and lots of archives to look at, lots of good stuff for decades that have been accumulating of telling the truth and trying to give people some hope that there is a possibility of change if we all educate each other and work together on the big issue, which is freedom. That would absolutely include the ability to access cannabis easily, because that would be part of freedom, and freedom is the whole goal, and it's a very valid goal that I hope you're all going to help us work on, because without it, the future looks pretty bleak. In the meantime, try to stay safe out there, try to have as much fun as you can, and we'll see you next week.